She said it like she was confessing a crime. My family sent me here as a punishment. I looked at her standing on my porch, a single suitcase at her feet, rain dripping from the edge of her jacket. Her eyes weren't asking for pity. They were daring the world to judge her. Then stay with me, I replied, before my brain could catch up with my mouth. That was the moment everything changed. The town of Pine Hollow wasn't the kind of place people were sent to by accident. It was small, quiet, and tucked between rolling hills and endless cornfields in the Midwest. People came here to disappear, or because they had nowhere else to go. I was born here. Grew up here. And after failing spectacularly at my big city dreams, I came back here. She didn't look like she belonged. Her name was Lena Carter. Designer boots, city posture, and eyes that had seen too much of the world to settle for this place. The kind of woman who probably knew how to order wine without looking at the menu. And yet, there she was. On my porch. Asking for shelter without actually asking. My aunt owns the house next door, she explained earlier, voice clipped and controlled. She's out of town. My parents thought it would be character building. Sounds generous, I said. She laughed once. Bitter. They're very creative when they're angry. That was the first thing I learned about Lena, humor was her armor. Over cheap takeout and awkward silence, the truth spilled out. Lena came from money. Not just comfortable, old money. Expectations. Image. Control. She'd grown up with her future planned before she could spell it. She broke the plan. She quit law school 3 months before graduation. She told her parents she didn't want to marry the man they'd approved. She said she wanted to figure out who she was without their rules. So they sent her away. To Pine Hollow. No credit cards. No allowance. Just the house and a warning not to embarrass them, she said, staring at her food like it had personally betrayed her. And you? She asked suddenly. What's your punishment? I smiled. Thinking I was meant for something bigger. Turns out. I was wrong. She studied me. Not pity. Curiosity. That was the second thing I learned about her, she listened. She moved into my guest room the next morning. It was supposed to be temporary. Just until her aunt returned. Just until she figured something out. But days turned into weeks. Lena learned how to make coffee without burning it. I learned she sang quietly when she thought no one could hear. She helped at the local library to stay sane. I worked construction during the day and wrote at night, pretending I wasn't afraid of failing again. We argued about everything. City versus small town. Dreams versus stability. Running away versus staying. And yet, somehow, we fit. At night, we'd sit on the porch, watching fireflies dance over the fields. I never thought silence could feel like this, she said once. Like what? Safe. Pine Hollow noticed Lena. People always notice something new. The whispers started at the diner. Who's the girl staying with you? Is she trouble? She won't last. Lena pretended not to care. But I saw it in the way her shoulders tensed when someone stared too long. One afternoon, a man from my past showed up, Eric, who'd stayed, succeeded, and never let me forget I'd left. She's temporary, he said smugly. Like your dreams. Lena heard him. That night, she cried for the first time. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet tears she didn't bother hiding. I don't belong anywhere, she whispered. I sat beside her. You belong here. With me. As long as you want. She didn't answer. But she leaned into my shoulder. The call came on a Sunday morning. Her mother. I could hear the sharpness even from across the room. Lena's voice stayed calm. Controlled. Fragile. When she hung up, she didn't speak for a long time. "They're cutting off the house," she finally said. "Aunt's selling it. What do you want to do?" She looked at me like the answer terrified her. "I want to stay." My heart pounded. "Then stay," I said again. "For real this time." She laughed softly. "You don't even know what that means." "I know it means I don't want you to leave." Silence stretched between us. Then she kissed me. Slow. Uncertain. Honest. Love didn't fix everything. Money was tight. Her parents didn't call anymore. My doubts didn't disappear. We fought. About pride. About fear. About whether loving someone meant giving up who you were. One night, she packed her suitcase. "I'm scared," she admitted. "What if I end up resenting this place?" "Resenting you?" I swallowed hard. "Then go. But don't go because you're afraid. Go because it's what you truly want." She stood there for a long time. Then she unpacked. Months passed. Lena started a small online business, something creative, something hers. I submitted my writing to places I'd been too scared to try before. We built a life that wasn't perfect, but it was real. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the fields, Lena turned to me. "They tried to punish me," she said softly. "And? They set me free." I smiled. "Funny how that works." Her parents eventually reached out. An invitation. Conditions. Expectations. Lena read the email, then closed her laptop. "I'm done being punished for choosing my own life," she said. She took my hand. "Whatever comes next. I want it to be with you." I squeezed her fingers. "Good," I said. "Because I'm not going anywhere." Fireflies lit the night again. And for the first time, Pine Hollow felt like home, to both of us. People think punishment is about loss. But sometimes, it's about being pushed toward the life you were too afraid to choose. She was sent here to be broken. Instead, she stayed. With me. And we built something worth keeping. She stood on my porch like she didn't belong to the world behind her. Rain soaked the gravel driveway, the sky heavy and gray, the kind of Midwest evening that made everything feel quieter than it should be. I just finished locking up the workshop when I noticed her, one suitcase, designer coat, and eyes sharp enough to cut through the dark. She looked angry. Not loud angry. Not dramatic angry. The dangerous kind. "I'm sorry," she said before I could speak, her voice steady but tired. "Is this 214 Miller Road?" "That's me," I replied. She exhaled slowly, like she'd been holding her breath for miles. "Good." Then, without any warning, she said the words that changed my life. "My family sent me here as a punishment." I blinked. That's one way to start a conversation. She almost smiled. Almost. Pine Hollow wasn't cruel, but it was honest. The kind of town that noticed everything and forgot nothing. Outsiders stuck out immediately, and this woman stuck out like a wildfire in a cornfield. Her hair was perfectly styled despite the rain. Her boots looked like they'd never touched dirt before. And the way she stood, straight-backed, chin lifted, it screamed city. "What brings you here?" I asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be simple. "My parents," she said. "They think sending me to the middle of nowhere will fix me." "Fix you how?" She met my eyes. "By breaking me first." That was the moment I realized this wasn't some spoiled rich girl tantrum. This was exile. I helped her carry the suitcase inside. The house smelled like sawdust and coffee, nothing fancy, nothing polished. She glanced around, taking everything in like she was measuring how bad things could get. So, she said, setting the suitcase down. We ate leftover pasta at the kitchen table. Not exactly a warm welcome, but she didn't complain. They cut me off, Lena said casually, like she was talking about the weather. Money. Cards. Everything. Why? I quit law school. I nearly choked. 3 years in. 3 years and 9 months, she corrected. I was supposed to graduate in May. Damn. They had my life planned. Husband approved. Career chosen. Personality tolerated, as long as it stayed quiet. She stirred her food without eating. So they sent me here, she continued. To learn gratitude. Humility. Obedience. And what are you learning? I asked. She finally looked up. That I don't want to go back. I showed her the guest room. Clean sheets. A small window facing the fields. Simple. It's not much, I said. It's peaceful, she replied. As she closed the door, I leaned against the hallway wall, heart racing for reasons I couldn't explain. I'd come back to Pine Hollow because my dreams had failed. She'd been sent here because hers didn't match expectations. Different stories. Same exile. That night, I lay awake listening to the rain, knowing one thing for certain. Lena Carter wasn't just passing through. And letting her stay was going to cost me something. I just didn't know how much yet. Morning came quietly in Pine Hollow. No horns. No sirens. Just the low hum of wind through cornfields and the smell of coffee filling the house. I found Lena already awake, sitting at the kitchen table in an oversized hoodie that clearly didn't belong to her. Her hair was tied up messily, face bare, expression thoughtful. Hope you don't mind, she said, holding up my mug. I needed something warm. Help yourself, I replied. That's kind of the deal now. She smiled, really smiled this time. And it hit me harder than it should have. The first unspoken rule between us was simple: this was temporary. No labels. No expectations. Just two people sharing space because the alternative was worse. Lena spent the day exploring the house like she was afraid to get too comfortable. She folded her clothes instead of hanging them. Kept her suitcase half open. Like she might leave at any moment. So, she said that afternoon, leaning against the counter. What do people do for fun around here? I laughed. Lower your expectations. We ended up at the only diner in town. The room went quiet the second she walked in. Pine Hollow didn't stare out of cruelty. It stared out of curiosity. Lena noticed anyway. Do they always look at people like that? She whispered. Only the interesting ones, I said. An older woman at the counter leaned toward me. Didn't know you had company. Just helping a friend, I replied. Lena's fingers tightened around her coffee cup. On the way out, she exhaled sharply. I forgot what it feels like to be judged without saying a word. You'll get used to it, I said. She shook her head. I don't want to. That night, the power went out. The house fell into darkness, lit only by candles and the glow from the fireplace. I hate the dark, Lena admitted quietly. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't expect that. Everyone expects me to be fearless, she said. It's exhausting. She told me about growing up perfect. About dinners where silence meant approval. About learning early that love came with conditions. My parents don't punish with anger, she said. They punish with distance. I listened. Really listened. And when her voice cracked, I didn't interrupt. Days passed. Lena started helping me at the workshop. She learned fast, too fast. You're good at this, I said as she sanded down a wooden frame. I like fixing things, she replied. Things make sense. People don't. One evening, we stood side by side watching the sunset. "This place isn't what I expected," she said softly. "Good or bad?" "Dangerous." "For you?" "For us." If Pine Hollow had a talent, it was turning silence into stories. It started small. A glance that lasted too long. A smile someone misunderstood. By the end of the week, people were no longer asking who Lena was. They were asking how long she'd last. I heard it at the workshop first. "So," one of the guys said casually, sanding a plank beside me, "city girl staying with you, huh?" "Just helping out," I replied. He smirked. "Sure. That's how it always starts." I didn't respond. But when I got home, Lena was quieter than usual. "They were talking about me," she said without looking up from her laptop. "What did they say?" "That I won't survive winter. That I'm using you. That I'll disappear the second something better comes along." I clenched my jaw. People talk. She finally met my eyes. "Do you believe them?" The question hit harder than any rumor. "No," I said immediately. She nodded, but doubt lingered in her eyes. The car didn't belong in Pine Hollow. Black. Polished. Expensive. It parked outside the diner like it owned the place. Lena froze the second she saw it. "I know him," she whispered. A man stepped out, tailored coat, confident smile. "The kind of confidence money teaches you." "Lena," he said warmly. "Your parents sent me." I stayed back, watching. "This is Daniel," Lena said stiffly. "An old friend." "Fiancé," Daniel corrected smoothly. My stomach dropped. We sat in the diner, tension thick enough to choke on. "You left without saying goodbye," Daniel said. "Your mother was worried." "She wanted me scared," Lena replied. "Looks like it worked." Daniel glanced at me. "And you are?" "Someone who offered her a place to stay," I said. Daniel smiled politely. "Temporary, I assume." Lena slammed her coffee cup down. "Enough." She stood. "I'm not going back." Daniel leaned closer. "You don't get to decide that alone." I saw it then, the old fear in her eyes. The one she never talked about. That night, the house felt too small. "You never told me about him," I said. "Because he doesn't matter," Lena snapped. "He called you his fiancé." "Because my parents decided that for me." We stood on opposite sides of the room. "I told you this was temporary," she said. "I warned you not to get attached." "That's funny," I replied quietly. "Because you're the one acting like you're already gone." Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know how to stay without losing myself. And I don't know how to watch you leave," I said. Silence fell. Heavy. Unforgiving. Later that night, I heard the zipper. The same suitcase. The one she never fully unpacked. She stood in the doorway, eyes red, hands shaking. "I need space," she whispered. "For how long?" She swallowed. "I don't know." I stepped aside. Because loving someone sometimes meant letting them walk away. Even when it broke you. As the door closed behind her, Pine Hollow felt quieter than it ever had. And for the first time, I wondered if "stay with me" had been a promise I couldn't keep. Pine Hollow didn't ask questions the next morning. It didn't need to. The empty guest room said enough. Her side of the sink was clean. The mug she liked was gone. Even the air felt different, lighter, colder, unfamiliar. I told myself it was for the best. Temporary meant temporary. Still, the quiet hurt. Work became routine again. Sand. Measure. Cut. Repeat. But every habit betrayed me. I reached for a second mug. I listened for footsteps that never came. At the diner, people looked at me with knowing eyes. "She leave?" someone asked. "Yeah," I said. They nodded, like it confirmed something they'd already decided. That night, I found a note tucked under the guest room lamp. "Thank you for making me feel brave." No signature. I sat on the bed for a long time, holding the paper like it might explain everything. I didn't know where Lena went. But Pine Hollow always knows more than it lets on. "She's staying at the motel off Route 6, the librarian told me gently. Looks lost." I nodded, pretending that wasn't exactly how I felt. I drove past the motel twice that night. Didn't stop. Fear is quieter than courage, but it's stronger. 2 days later, the call came. Unknown number. "Hello? This is Margaret Carter," the voice said. Calm. Polished. Powerful. "Lena's mother." My chest tightened. "She tells us you've been influential," Margaret continued. "We're coming to collect her." "She's an adult," I said. "Yes," her mother replied smoothly. "But she's confused. We intend to help her remember who she is." The line went dead. I realized then that losing Lena wasn't an accident. It was a plan. That night, I sat alone on the porch, watching the fireflies return. The same ones Lena said made the dark feel safer. I'd spent my life letting things happen to me. Letting dreams die quietly. Letting people leave because it was easier than fighting. But love doesn't survive silence. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and drove. Lena answered the motel door with surprise, and relief she tried to hide. "I didn't think you'd come," she said. "I should have come sooner." She stepped aside. The room was small. Temporary. Just like us. "My parents are coming," she said. "They want to take me home." "And what do you want?" I asked. She hesitated. "I'm scared." "I know. I don't know how to choose without hurting someone." I took her hands. "You don't owe anyone your unhappiness." Tears slipped down her cheeks. For the first time, she didn't wipe them away. "I don't want to be punished for loving you," she whispered. "Then don't be," I said. "Choose it." She leaned into me, forehead against my chest, breathing like she'd been running for miles. Outside, the motel sign flickered. Inside, something finally settled. The Carter family arrived the next morning. Not quietly. 2 black SUVs rolled into Pine Hollow like the town had done something wrong and was about to be reminded of it. People noticed. They always did. I saw them before Lena did. Her mother stepped out first, perfect posture, calm smile, eyes that measured everything they touched. Her father followed, silent and solid, the kind of man who let other people speak for him. Daniel stood behind them. Waiting. "Don't go," Lena whispered when she saw them through the diner window. "I'm not," I said. "Not unless you tell me to." She took a shaky breath and stood. Margaret Carter didn't sit when we joined them. "Lena," she said warmly, like they were meeting for brunch. "You look thinner." "I'm fine," Lena replied. Her mother's gaze shifted to me. "You must be the man who's been confusing her." "I didn't confuse her," I said. "I listened." Daniel scoffed. "This isn't your place." Lena's father finally spoke. "It is, actually. I'm not here to save you. I'm here to stand with you." Lena faced her parents. "I'm staying," she said. Her father exhaled slowly. Margaret nodded once. "Then you're no longer our responsibility." Lena didn't cry. She reached for my hand instead. "We'll be fine," she said, not to them, but to herself. Daniel watched her like he was seeing her for the first time. The SUVs pulled away an hour later. Pine Hollow watched them leave. And for the first time, the town didn't look disappointed. It looked impressed. The Carter SUVs were gone. The air felt different, lighter, but not empty. Lena and I stood on my porch, fireflies dancing around us, the way she had said made the dark feel safe. She leaned against me, shoulder to shoulder. "I don't know what comes next," she admitted. "Neither do I," I said. "But we'll figure it out together." Weeks passed. Lena settled into her small home office, launching her online business, and laughing when things didn't go perfectly. I returned to my writing, sending manuscripts, dreaming bigger. We learned patience. Compromise. That love doesn't mean perfection. It means showing up. Even when scared. Even when unsure. Sunday mornings became our ritual. Coffee in hand, sitting on the porch, watching the fields. Pine Hollow moved around us, whispering, judging, but no longer influencing our choices. One evening, Lena pulled me outside, pointing at the horizon. "Look," she said. "Even the sun seems brighter here." I smiled. "Maybe it's just us finally noticing it." She laughed softly, brushing my arm. "Maybe it is." Lena's parents tried calling a few times. We ignored the calls. We knew what they wanted: obedience, control. We gave them nothing. But we gave each other everything. One night, sitting among the glowing insects, Lena whispered, "You were my home when I had none." "I'll always be," I replied. We kissed, long and unafraid. The world outside Pine Hollow could stay out. We were here. We were free. People think punishment teaches lessons. Sometimes it just points you toward the right place. She was sent to Pine Hollow as a punishment. Instead, she stayed. She loved. She grew. And we built something worth every risk. Together.